Hey, good evening, and thanks for joining us at 6:30 on KGW+. I'm Blair Best. Let's get right to our top stories. Tonight, what we're learning about why Bruce Whitman was fired from the Multnomah Athletic Club years before he drove a car filled with explosives into the building this past weekend. Plus,
7.4% of our entire portfolio, 22,000 units, are empty today.
a stunning number right from the mayor's mouth, 22,000 affordable housing units empty in the city of Portland. But first, public safety was front and center at City Hall today as councilors talked about potential cuts to the Fire Bureau. First responders packed the room in protest, and it's our big story tonight.
Early Tuesday morning,
We're here because we care about your safety.
Portland firefighters gathered outside City Hall,
And we think these budget cuts are dangerous.
protesting proposed budget cuts to their bureau.
Anytime that we reduce the number of firefighters, that means we don't have the resources we need to be able to put out fires.
They filled council chambers for 3 hours
I love seeing it. This is the people's house.
as councilors took up Mayor Keith Wilson's plan to close a record $163 million general fund shortfall. Public safety bureaus make up much of that general fund.
When I set up this budget, focus is to reduce unsheltered homelessness, end it, which will reduce the burden on our public safety system.
Potential cuts to the Fire Bureau include fewer on-duty firefighters, reduced administrative staff, and scaling back the overdose response team.
Fire is the least cut bureau that we have.
If public safety is a core service that local government provides, then we're violating that.
I've been on this council since 2020. I've been a part of the rebuilding of BOEC 911, of fire and police, and I'll be darned if I'm going to watch it backpedal.
Fire Station 22 in the St. John's neighborhood is at risk of losing its only rig that carries water, meaning it would no longer be able to fight fires,
That seems like an untenable cut for safety for our community.
putting the burden on surrounding stations, increasing emergency response times.
I mean, anytime you're talking about a fire station having a brownout, right, not having a truck or an engine ready 24 hours a day is a huge concern.
This feels a little bit like here we go again to the St. John's neighborhood. Last year, they were first on the list for losing a community center. This year, they are first on the list for losing a fire engine.
Councilor Steve Novick is proposing cuts to city council staff instead.
We have bigger office budgets than city councilors in Seattle or Denver.
As councilors work through weeks of budget revisions, they now face a key decision. Will public safety be spared?
That's my hope.
I doubt that there'll be a one with no cuts, but I think there are places that you can look that aren't frontline responders.
I don't think that's possible with the level of cut that we have to make, but we certainly need to be using a scalpel.
And Councilor Ilana Pertolgini says she's already drafting an amendment to restore that St. John's fire engine. And one thing Councilor Dan Ryan emphasized today was that despite their differences, all 12 councilors agree on protecting emergency response times. They want them improving, not getting worse. So expect some proposed changes in the coming weeks before a final budget vote in June. The deadline for councilors to submit their budget amendments is May 14th. And the Police Bureau is also facing potential cuts, more than $17 million. Council takes that up next week. We'll keep you posted. But now we want to hear from you. What do you think about the proposed cuts to Portland Fire? Did anything that you hear tonight stand out to you? Let us know. Email the story at kgw.com or call and leave us a voicemail, 503-226-5090. And those potential cuts to public safety come amid a surprising announcement this morning. The Deputy City Administrator, there he is, overseeing public safety, is leaving his job in less than 2 weeks. Bob Causey served in that role for the past 11 months after running the Bureau of Emergency Communications for 7 years and then decades of public service in the region before that. Portland City Administrator Raymond Lee says he will oversee public safety while launching a national search to replace Causey. Public safety in Portland is made up of 2,200 employees and a more than $600 million budget. Causey's sudden departure catching some in City Hall off guard.
It was news to me this morning. I don't know a lot about it, so I'll just leave it at that.
I'm shocked and sad to see that. I think that Bob Causey is an incredibly valuable public servant. I am a bit concerned that the city administrator has said that he wants to take over oversight of the public safety service area himself in the immediate future. And I said today, I think that's a mistake. I think there's people within the public safety service area who should take over that job. I'm thinking one person in particular, frankly, who could take over that job on an interim basis. I think the city administrator has far too much to do to take over that oversight role.
Causey's reason for leaving is still a mystery. The city did not answer us when we asked. But he is floating out of the Rose City on a golden parachute, receiving 1 year's salary as severance, totaling more than $275,000.
If I walk by somebody lying on the street, incapacitated, and I walk by them and do nothing, I've showed my citizens that that's normal, that that's acceptable, that that's the new policy. I've explained to my entire city that that's no longer normal in Portland. It's not normal in Boston, in Boise, in Clackamas County. It's not going to be normal in Portland.
Okay, that was Mayor Keith Wilson today as he faced Clackamas County commissioners talking about how they can help Portland address homelessness. Now, this comes after he asked those commissioners for $4 million to help pay for Portland shelters and day centers. Commissioners rejected that ask last month. So instead, the mayor laid out a 6-point plan today, giving the commissioners a better idea of how his administration is tackling the crisis, from ending tent distribution to those 1,500 emergency overnight shelter beds to reuniting homeless people with their families out of state. In fact, the mayor said since that effort began last fall, they've reunited nearly 400 people with their families in 45 different states. That includes more than 150 people so far this year. The mayor also stressed a strategy of making sure that people using city services are moving forward and not just staying on the streets.
We have a program. We're expecting the program to be followed because we want to help that person on their journey to housing, recognizing that shelter is only a stopping location, a life-saving response.
Okay, an example of that would be the 120-day limit at the city's tiny home villages. If someone is not actively participating in services, they must leave after 4 months. But perhaps the biggest surprise today came while the mayor was talking about affordable housing in Portland. Listen.
7.4% of our entire portfolio, 22,000 units, are empty today.
Yes, you heard that right. 22,000 units are sitting empty right now. The total number of people experiencing homelessness in all of Multnomah County, according to county data, is just over 18,000. Though Mayor Wilson was firm that he believes the issue is a housing problem, a take that got some pushback.
Homelessness is a housing problem, full stop.
How is it a housing crisis and not a behavioral health, substance use disorder, and untreated trauma crisis that's not getting people care they morally deserve?
Yeah, I think what you just highlighted, it's a systems crisis. It is not a one smoking gun at all. What we had to do is address it like a crisis. And so you, in a crisis, address a triage. Do the most amount of good you can for the most amount of people. I had 800 people who died on Portland streets between 23 and 24. If I didn't move forward fast with shelter, I was going to have another 400 people die in 2025.
Okay, no funding decisions were made today, though commissioners left the door open on that possibility down the road. Clackamas County Chair Craig Roberts ended the meeting with this.
You have the commitment from our board that we're here to really work together to help address this issue, and just a big thanks from all of us.
Tomorrow, Portland City Council will take up 3 proposals that we've been following closely. First, a vote is possible on a plan to change city code related to chronic nuisance properties, namely cracking down on sex trafficking and drug dealing along 82nd Avenue. Instead of needing to document 3 instances of illegal activity within 30 days at a business or property, the proposal would extend the timeline to 3 instances within 90 days before the city can take action. They will try to work with the property owner first, but if that doesn't clear things up, the case would go to court for a judge to decide. Council will also start talks on adjusting the city's arts tax, raising the rate for some taxpayers while letting others off the hook. Council President Jamie Dunphy wants to raise the tax from $35 a year to $50 for individuals. but those with a taxable income of $20,000 or less, or $40,000 for joint filers, would be exempt. The ordinance would also adjust the tax every year to match inflation and give clear definitions for how the revenue should be spent. And then perhaps the most controversial item coming up tomorrow are more talks on a law enforcement mask ban, calling on Portland police to investigate unidentified federal immigration agents. A similar law in California was struck down by an appeals court, ruling that states and local governments cannot directly regulate the feds in that way. But council is still planning to talk more about potential city action. Tomorrow's meeting gets underway at 2 o'clock.
Locations calling in says a vehicle drove through the front entrance on Salmon, and they're seeing a smoke and a large flames coming from the car.
We do have a fatality. We're bringing an investigator in. Is what we have a car that actually drove into and through the MAC through the front doors and is kind of buried in the back with a large amount of open propane tanks.
New audio today from early Saturday morning as first responders arrived to the Multnomah Athletic Club, where they found Bruce Whitman dead inside a car packed with explosives. Today, MAC leadership took our crew inside the private club. There wasn't a whole lot to see apart from the missing turnstiles that Whitman drove through and then damage to the wall and floor. The MAC says the majority of the damage is water damage from the building sprinklers, and it is unclear when they will reopen.
I don't think it will be months. I would be surprised if it is, but at this point, I have to wait at least a couple of more days until all the assessments are done.
MAC leadership went on to explain why Whitman was fired from his job there back in 2019.
Mr. Whitman was terminated for cause after a repeated, well-documented series of agitations and aggressive behavior towards both staff and members.
Whitman's family says he suffered from a bipolar disorder and dealt with a lot of paranoia and was even worried he was being stalked by his former employer. If you or someone you know is struggling, help is available 24/7. Just call or text the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. That number is 988. To Clark County now, where the city of Battle Ground wants to help eligible small businesses improve the outside of their buildings. Devin Haskins shows us the revitalization efforts of that city's Old Town neighborhood.
Situated on the east end of town, it is the commercial hub of Battle Ground, Washington.
Oh, we're kind of funky. Funky and friendly.
Brooke Nilsson, owner of Kids Clothes, has been in business for 33 years.
I sell all kinds of kids clothing, baby furniture, anything a child might need.
Over the last 3+ decades, she's seen a lot of change, but one thing has remained the same.
It's still Old Town. I've lived here for 50 years, so it's definitely still the oldest part of town.
We love our customers.
Sarah Sykos with Specifically You is just a couple stores away.
It's a retail shop that has a lot of women's clothing, baby clothing, home goods.
There are several businesses up and down this street, some newly painted, others in desperate need of repair.
It's fine to look like it's aged, it just needs cleaned up.
This is Old Town Battleground.
Yeah, this is the original downtown Battleground. And this is kind of the heart of the city.
2 years ago, the city created an Old Town sub-area plan to revitalize the section of the city. As part of that plan, the city just opened the application process for its facade improvement grant program.
It's just a way for the city to say, hey, we want to invest in you. And we believe in you as much as you believe in yourself.
Allocating $50,000, they'll reimburse eligible businesses up to 50% of the total cost of the work, with a max of $10,000 to improve the outside of their buildings.
To improve paint, windows, signage, you name it. If it's on the front of the building, we want to be a part of that.
And even before the grant program opened, some of the businesses already made an effort to improve their look. Specifically You added new paint, doors, and signage.
It definitely needed it, yeah.
The city's goal, make Old Town more inviting without losing what makes it old.
We don't want it to look like Newtown either.
In Battleground, Devin Haskins, KGW News.
Okay, coming up next, rising fuel prices are hitting people at more than just the pump. as those costs are often passed down the supply chain, an industry that you might not think about that's having to jack up the prices. Next, Matt?
All right, Blair, thank you very much. We're finally getting the sunshine in downtown Portland. It's still cool, though, at 64 degrees. Our first day with below average temperatures in about a week. Morning clouds and afternoon sun, that's the routine for a couple more days. And it's going to be even better for Mother's Day weekend with a slight chance of rain in between.
Want more sunrise? We got you covered.
You can stream an extra 2 hours of live morning news on KGW streaming apps.
Good morning.
That means more local stories and extended coverage of breaking news.
Plus live weather and traffic updates as they happen.
And this is our first trouble spot of the morning.
We have a gorgeous day coming up.
We are live on KGW Sunrise weekday mornings from 5 to 9. Stream on your time with KGW.
Matt, how long is this break in the rain going to last?
About another day, Christine. Again, another atmospheric river hitting the northwest. This is significant rainfall coming our way.
You'll definitely want to be extra cautious.
It's certainly becoming increasingly hazardous.
We've got the potential for some tree limbs or even trees or power lines to come down.
Of course, when you hear thunder, it's always best to take cover.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage on KGW+.
Well, hey, it's no surprise if you've been driving around town, but gas prices continue to soar, with all 50 states seeing an increase in just the past week. The average here in Oregon is $5.30. Washington now has the second highest price in the country at $5.71. California tops the list for the 13th week in a row at $6.13. The national average jumped 31 cents in a week, up to $4.48 a gallon. And diesel prices are also on the rise, though not as sharply. The Oregon average is $6.25, Washington up to $6.84. California again tops the diesel list at $7.50 a gallon. The national average is up 20 cents in the past week, now $5.66 a gallon. And as those prices continue to rise, businesses and consumers are often the ones paying more on the back end, even in industries that you might not think about. Libby Dowsett talked to some pet supply shop owners about the rising cost of doing business.
Pet supply businesses in Portland, like the filling station here on Northeast Alberta, they're seeing distributor costs for all these items, food, snacks, double since the war began, and it's being called a fuel surcharge. The owner says what they pay distributors to deliver their pet supplies is dramatically increasing.
We always get charged a delivery fee, and this added double, if not more than double, the amounts that we were paying already.
Shop owner Laura Amaton says the prices for pet items were already climbing, so these fuel surcharges are only adding to the stack of added costs they're facing, as prices at the pump are still rising.
I live right across the street, and on a daily basis I could see it increase.
I'm a college student too, so gas has become like one of my biggest expenses.
The president saying this week crude oil prices are actually lower than he expected at this point in the war. But AAA reporting regular gas in Oregon shot up 19 cents a gallon this past week.
Nobody wants to see gas prices climb 19 cents, but it sounds better than 79 cents in Indiana, which has the biggest week-over-week increase in the country.
And AAA reporting no end in sight for small business owners with razor-thin margins.
We don't want to increase our prices too much, but we also need to be able to sustain, so it's kind of a fine balance.
The challenge now for these businesses is figuring out where that line is that they're going to have to start passing on these charges to customers so they can stay afloat. This business right here at the filling station says they're very close. In Northeast Portland, Libby Dowsett, KGW News.
The struggle is real. Okay, Chief
Yeah,
Meteorologist
little Quinny goes there, I hear, right?
My dog Quinn does go to that.
And what's the breed?
My goodness. She's a Caton de Tulier. That is what her name is. Well,
Awesome.
the name of her breed. Her name is Quinn.
Right. That's awesome.
You were making fun of me.
No, I've never, I love dogs, and I'm curious about the breed now.
Yeah, I'll show you pictures.
Yeah, okay.
I'd never heard of the breed before.
That sounds great.
Found Quinn. Okay, the weather is looking really good this week.
Really good for getting out and walking the dog or anything else you like to do outside. It has been a cloudy day, but things are improving. Down in Salem, the clouds have kind of rolled back in a little bit, but it's 66 degrees, and there's still some clearing going on in our state's capital. We only topped out today at 64. It's our first day with a below average high temperature in about a week. You got to go back to the 28th of April, the last time we didn't have an above average high temperature. So cool. 65 in Scappoose, 65 in McMinnville. Everybody was cool. Hood River got up to 70 because they had sunshine and we did not, at least not until late in the day. And you didn't find 70s in the Willamette Valley or Western Oregon until you get down to Roseburg, and then Medford was 79. Bend 81. Looks like Bend will have top honors for the hot spot in Oregon today. Oh, speaking of the top, here's the top of Oregon. Mount Hood looks absolutely beautiful, and it's pretty warm up there. It's 62 degrees at 6,000 feet in the Mount Hood National Forest at the beautiful and historic Timberline Lodge. And you can see the clearing working its way from the Coast Range eastward into the Willamette Valley finally, and then breaking up just late this afternoon. Again, a little bit too late for us to get much our high temperatures out of the 60s. But tomorrow we will. Sunrise at 5:51, be cloudy then. Sunset at 8:24, it'll be clear. At that time, it'll be cloudy in the morning, but again, I think by mid to late morning, the clouds are at least breaking up, and so we should be climbing into the 70s. Tomorrow, unlike today, we're still under the influence of a very large, very broad area of high pressure and northerly flow coming down through eastern Oregon and going around low pressure that's down in Southern California. And then that swings the corner through the southwest, producing a bunch of snow in the Rockies. Estes Park, Colorado, 15 inches of new snow today. So it's good that the Rockies at least are getting some snow. We will get morning clouds tomorrow, but notice it's already moth-eaten, holes in the overcast over the Coast Range. So that gives the sun the chance to heat the ground there and then clear the clouds sooner. As we go into Friday, there's the rain off the coast, and that will bring us a few sprinkles. Not a lot of rain, not enough to really water the garden, but it will be a bit of a change. And the upper level reflection of that system is here. This is the upper level wind pattern. We see this with a good storm, we'd see something like that, or something like that's over the Great Lakes. But this is just a really minor system. By the time it gets here, it's even more minor and even weaker. So we don't expect much out of that. Then high pressure building back in for Mother's Day weekend. It actually looks really fantastic and warm, with highs back up around 80 on Sunday. Then next week also looks pretty mild, at least for the first half of the week. Maybe some showers, maybe a week from Friday, but I'm beginning to doubt that that will actually exist and that will end up staying dry all of next week. Portland right now, looks really good. Downtown Portland, clouds and sun and 64 degrees. Freezing level is quite high at 12,300 feet. Okay, on the coast, we've got ourselves clouds and areas of fog, and not much sun breaking through at the coast tomorrow, very much like today. And so your highs will be in the upper 50s, but still not a bad day. Should be fairly pleasant. In the valleys, morning clouds and then becoming sunny, and highs will make the 70s. Lows will be in the 40s. Up in the Cascades, also windy but sunny. Gusts of 35. Same thing in the Gorge in eastern Oregon, also breezy. We'll have morning clouds and then sunshine in Portland, 75 the next 2 days. And then on Friday, a few sprinkles, not a lot. And then over the weekend, we go to sunshine. It's going to be a fantastic weekend. Morning clouds disappear Saturday, then it's clear the rest of the weekend. What's the name of that breed again? The Ulaanbaatar?
Oh, dear.
What is it?
A Caton de Tulier.
A Caton Couturier.
De Tulier.
De
like
Tulier.
D, it's French.
So it's French.
Caton de Tulier.
Fantastic.
Yes. Okay. I'll show you pictures after.
All right, sounds good.
All right, guys, coming up, the beloved Thompson elk statue in Portland has been back in place for less than a month, and it's already damaged. New pictures right after the break.
Hi, I'm Christine Padawanich. I'm a journalist at KGW, and I love exploring Portland's amazing food scene. New spot? I'm there. So I don't just report about our community, I belong to it. What happens here affects us all, and that's why we care so deeply about getting it right. And when local journalism is done right, it doesn't sit still, it moves. It moves you to act, to vote, to volunteer, to speak up, or to lend a hand. It moves your mind by challenging assumptions and offering new perspectives. It moves you forward by giving you the information to make decisions and thrive where you live. And yes, it moves your heart through the good stuff that stays with you wherever you are. And at KGW, we're here for all of it. These are the stories that move Portland.
Okay, let's get to some new images tonight showing damage to the brand new base of the Thompson elk statue in Portland. The Portland Water Bureau says a truck trailer hit the corner of the fountain last week, chipping the granite and leaving some oil stains, though the city says the fountain remains structurally sound. The Thompson elk returned to its spot on Southwest Main Street less than a month ago, on April 12th, meaning it took just 15 days before being damaged. The Thompson elk was removed 6 years ago following fires from protests and riots that damaged the base, putting the elk itself at risk of falling. It wasn't until 2022 that City Council passed a resolution to explore restoring it back to its former glory, and then another 4 years of designs and finding the money before it finally came back. It is worth noting the granite base damaged last week came from the same Vermont quarry that supplied the original base back in 1900. The new slabs this time around were sent to Cleveland, sculpted to match the original base, and then shipped here to Portland. That's when a California-based company came in to do final touches on Southwest Main Street. Final touches that now need to be redone just 15 days after the elk's triumphant return. That's the end of our show, guys. Thanks so much for watching here on KGW+.